Well, it's a good evening from Queensland, Australia. Our guest tonight is in another country, and of course, our co host is in the UK. And without further ado, we're going to go down below this time and talk to Andrena. Yeah.
Hi, good morning, good evening, good day, and welcome to old listeners and new listeners to Dreaming the New Dream. And today it's Thursday, the 3rd of November, so we're swiftly moving into November now, faster than I'd like to think. Anyway, today it's my great pleasure that I've got Katie Adali on the line or on the show, and it came about through mushrooms. Now, I've never really been into mushrooms. I enjoy eating mushrooms, as you do. Um, but where I'm living on the farm, and where I parked the car about 5 weeks ago, I saw these group of mushrooms and I went over. And my God, I've seen so many different shapes and colours. I just been amazed. So I've taken pictures and I've shared them, and they've been calling my attention. And then I went to the New Forest yesterday and we saw more mushrooms and magic mushrooms. And so I've really sort of got the mushroom bug, if you like, of taking pictures. So I was thinking it would be lovely for somebody to share something about mushrooms because I don't really know anything yet. So I was scrolling through mushroom Facebook pages and what have you, and I came across Katie and I saw she'd made this lovely hairband. And anyway, I got in contact with her, and straight away she messaged me back. So we had a lovely conversation. So welcome, Katie. Thank you for coming on. And Katie's based in Georgia, USA, and it's an earthly hour for her. It's about 5 a.m., I think, now, isn't it? So welcome. We'd love you to share your story, how you got into your mushrooms, the beautiful work that you do, and your photography, your walk of life.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. This is the first time I've ever done anything like this, so it's really new. Um, Mushrooms. Oh gosh. Well, I guess we have to start where I started, which is here in Dalton, Georgia, the very north end of Dalton, or Dalton, Georgia, but still very far south, which I'm sure you'll hear it in my voice. But
Mm.
I grew up um, in the middle of nowhere, in between a horse pasture and a cow field, and we were surrounded by woods. And me and my sister grew up playing outside, like the children don't really do that much anymore, but we grew up outside. And one thing that one of some of my earliest memories of living that way, when it would rain, inevitably mushrooms would pop up all over the yard. And what we would do is go outside and we would use spoons, always spoons, and we would kind of scoop them up from the yard, and we wanted to move them to the shade so that they would last longer. Ne- Needless to say, we were very ill advised about how mushrooms work, and I don't even know if they knew that much about them back then. But we, we of course they still died. We wanted a full yard of mushrooms, but that was something that I remembered. Um, when I was thinking about this show, we tried to transplant those poor little mushrooms. But moving on from that, I grew up playing in the woods there, and then we would go all over the mountains. And I grew up with a real deep appreciation and love of everything to do with the outdoors. Animals as a focus, plants, and then as I grew up, we lose sight of the things that really matter, the things that we really enjoy doing. But then after divorce, I had to refine myself. I had to rediscover what it was to be me and what that meant. And I started going on hikes. And I would go on these hikes and I enjoyed it, and then I would go with my family and I would stop every few minutes to take pictures or to pick to see a little moss, or yeah, that's some of my earlier photography. Take pictures and stop. And I even have a shirt that says the sloth hiking team will get there when we get there. And that's exactly what I tell my family, is that we're going to get wherever we're going eventually. Let me stop and take pictures of these mushrooms.
Oh, they're
Um,
pretty.
thank you. And those are some of the what I use for my medium of art. But I in taking the photographs, I would have them, I could share them, but it wasn't quite enough.
Mm.
And I thought, well, what else can I do? So then, recently in the last couple of years with COVID and everything, people have started to return back to the roots. And in doing so, people have began foraging. And in foraging, one of the hottest items right now is to forage for mushrooms. And so I started getting into foraging, just general plants, but then I saw this great interest in all these resources available
Oh, wow,
to
that's nice.
learn. Thank you. To
That's
learn
pretty.
about mushrooms and really, really appreciate them for their full aspect. So I started to identify edible mushrooms. Now I've only been able to positively identify confidently enough to eat one batch of mushrooms. And I know there's a picture in there somewhere. I wasn't prepared to get them, but I stuffed them all in my shirt and just traipsed out of the woods in front of God and all creation. But uh I was like, well, that's nice, but I can't really find that many that I'm confident enough in my abilities to actually eat. So I started to collect the more woody type of mushrooms that'll grow on trees. Some species are called shelf mushrooms. And I thought, well, I need a costume for this convention we went to. So I said, well, I guess I could make some sort of crown to wear with it. And so I had this big dress, and I found this antler crown or antler headband, and then adorned it with greenery and mushrooms. And if we don't mind, I'll bring it up
No,
now.
that's fabulous.
Thank you. This is
Mm.
the original piece that got this started. And as you can see, I'll lean down some. You can see my mushrooms that have been preserved, and then of course all the additional greenery. I hope my camera's in the right spot for it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
in doing so, my mother and my sister are both artists, and they said, "Oh, Katie, you need to make those. You need to make those and post them on the internet and sell those." And I was like, well, no, 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 I won't do that. That's just wild. You're being too kind. And I should know that they would never tell me to do that without real reason to tell me to do that. um, so I got this made, and I ordered a couple more, and I made one of those, and it sold. And I was like, what? What is this even? And so then I made another one, and that one sold. Both within 24 or 48 hours of being posted, they were selling. And after that, I had more people reaching out. Hey, when are you going to have more? What can I do to get one? How soon is it going to be until you have another one? And I said, well, oh my goodness, I don't know. I mean, I'm a single mom out of limited income, and I work a full-time job, and I take care of my daughter, and I've got a whole list of animals I have to take care of as well. And so I found myself trying to carve out time for this. So I ordered more. And as we are now, I'm waiting on 6 different sets of antlers to come in. So in the meantime, I decided to branch out a little bit and started making the hair barrettes, um, which I have some photos of. And I reached out to some of the ladies that had shown interest in the hair barrettes. And the first one that I got made, a sweet woman said, please, please let me buy it. And I said, oh, honey, yes, of course you can buy it for me. I mean, what am I going to say? No? So she bought that for me, and I posted another one. And in just a few hours. That one, or no, I showed another woman that one, or a different one that I had made, the second one, and she said, I've got a friend that would love that. And so she bought that one from me, and then I've posted a few other ones. And so here we are. I'm waiting on antlers to get to my house on Saturday.
What are the antlers made of?
They are plastic that
Right.
is sort of smocked with this color
Like
of
a velvet on or something.
yes, it's a velvet, and I take and I will use pigments to color the ends so that they're darker.
Yeah. And just a thought, have you had anybody asking for anything similar to get married in? Is there tiaras or their display?
Not
Obviously,
yet.
not without the antlers on.
Hey, why not?
Well, yeah. Anything's possible.
Yeah. I have had people say that they want that for their wedding. They haven't commissioned anything yet. I am very new at this, so I don't know if I'm comfortable to commission something before it being made. I'm trying to nurture this real, like, within myself. I'm afraid that if I do open up to commissions too soon, that it'll take the joy out of it. If somebody is saying, no, take that off, do this over, it might sort of taint the real pleasure I get from it.
Yeah, that makes sense. But no, I mean it's beautiful, and that's what caught. I can't remember. I think it was the one at the back of your head that I saw on when I was scrolling for mushroom people. It caught my eye. I thought, oh, that's really pretty. So yeah. So how do you go about to, like, obviously what that one there is like quite a wavy one, and it's got like a pattern going through, isn't it? So it's quite pretty in its own right. So how do you go once you pick them? What do you do then?
Well, once I pick the mushrooms, and it sounds really simple.
Yeah, right.
I'll go through the woods, and sometimes I find really great specimens, and sometimes you spend hours on a hike that's 4 miles long. That's not that long, but it was a couple weeks ago. I went on a 4-hour hike or 4-mile hike, spent hours in the woods. People thought I was insane. I wasn't worried about it, but I was walking through trying to find mushrooms, and I only came out with a handful of less than perfect quality mushrooms. And that's perfectly acceptable for anything else besides a centerpiece for something that I'm going to sell. But it takes a lot of time and planning, and you have to go out as it rains, get outside. I've done it in the rain. And that's an example of those are faux turkey tail. They're more of a really thin, so they're a delicate mushroom to deal with indeed, and they take extra processing. But once I pick the mushrooms, ethically, I don't pick too many. I don't take the full crop of them. I always leave behind so that they can spread their spores. But I will take them home. I'll clean them off with a little brush, and then I'll dry them. And the drying process is low and slow. It just takes practice. Once they're dried, I can arrange them any way I want to. So we've got some of the barrettes there that'll have them in a sort of wave pattern, and some that'll look like a large bouquet of or a large rose. I do actually have a brand new, never before seen piece of barrette. If you wanted to put me up in the center, I'll show you for the first time publicly. This barrette that I made out of mushrooms that were foraged. And then I've got moss over here, and then some dried blooms or buds from a dogwood tree. But this is what I do while I'm waiting on more antlers.
Yeah, that's beautiful. What did you say you painted it in like a gold leaf paint?
There are some that have the gold leaf. I've sold those so far, the mushrooms that have the gold leaf, but then also I have this one, which is it has the mushrooms on the side here that kind of bloom out, but then also in the middle it has the gold leaf on a pine cone that a dear friend gifted to me.
And that's quite open, isn't it, that pine cone?
Yes. Yeah. When it dried, it really spread open and it had this beautiful look. And I bought something from her, which is this mannequin head behind me. I bought that from her. And when I did that, she said, "Hey, I've got these beautiful pine cones. Do you want them?" And I said, "Yes, give me all the pine cones." And so she did. So I'm in thanks, I made her a pine cone barrette that I gave her yesterday, and she's thrilled to death.
I bet. Wow.
I better interrupt there. From a shipping international trade type of thing, New Zealand and Australia wouldn't be able to accept those because of their flora based. Yeah, so
that is something to think about.
Yeah, I remember Andrena came into Australia with a rain stick.
Oh yeah.
And, so it was wooden, but inside we had the little beads that go up and down. So Australian quarantine knocked that back. So sometimes they will allow it in, but you have to get it fumigated. And sometimes they ask for it to be irradiated. It costs a lot more money. So it's just so I think your market really would be North America and probably Asia.
Yeah.
And I think that UK might be okay for that too, to be perfectly honest.
I did decide yesterday that I would be opening up. It's another announcement that nobody knows about yet, but I would be opening up
another one. That's two. Go on.
I did decide to open up international sales. Of course, I'll have to check into which countries will allow the flora and fauna, like you said, to be shipped in, and what we would have to do that. But mine, they are preserved in a chemical, so maybe that would make it to where they're more a substance and not. I mean, they're not capable of reproduction. Of course, you can't really tell customs that.
Yeah. Yeah, and also customs duty, because I know I've been caught a couple of times. I've ordered things from the USA and then flipped. The custom charges has been horrendous. So I think, right, well, I'm not ordering anything else from America anymore.
Yeah.
Because they say, got to be under 35 pounds. You got to be under 35
right, yeah.
pounds.
So, but yeah, so that's another thing to think about. Right, so carry on then. So obviously you dry them out.
Yes, I dry them. Some of the more delicate mushrooms, I will add a substance to it, and that sort of creates a lacquer, a finish that's not quite completely shiny, not quite completely matte, but that adds a lot of durability and really strength to these different flaky type mushrooms. Some are more strong, like these that I have in my antlers. They are very, very durable, but some like the faux turkey tail are going to be more of a leafy texture. And those are some as well that are going to be more of the leafy texture that will, if you touch them too hard, they're going to break, especially after you dry them and they become brittle. But it adds a lot of strength to the mushrooms. And then once they are properly prepared and set up, then you'll take, and I have my trusty hot glue gun right here.
Oh, yeah.
It's not on. I don't want to burn myself on the radio or on a live show. But so take, for instance, you've got this little turkey tail, little cutie pie, and then we could arrange with a few more, and then you build. Maybe you can't see it all that great, but you'll build from these two, add another, and then you wind up with a beautiful bouquet. And some advice directly from my mother, Frida, is just keep adding stuff to it and it'll look good.
Yeah. So Andrew's saying hairspray helps to preserve mushrooms as well. So
wonderful. Thank you, Andrew.
So there's a little tip for you. So have you thought, like, because those tiny little wavy ones, have you thought about doing earrings or anything like that with them?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've got a sweet young lady who wants to get a corsage from her wrist. I believe that picture's up there, or now some of the very, very first pictures I took, but she wants me to make a corsage. She bought one of the crowns. I think it was your favorite one that she bought. So you'll have to talk to her about that. But she wants a corsage to go along with it. So she's got a photo shoot she's planning out in early spring, and she wants to have another piece. And I'm like, hey, The more
Wow.
the merrier. Do it
Yeah.
up. But I've got projects and ideas that I want to pursue, but I'm trying to make sure that I don't overwhelm myself,
Yeah.
because once I get overwhelmed, I will back out gracefully or not so gracefully. So I want to keep the focus on what I can maintain and manage with being a single mom, working full time, having all these responsibilities,
Mm.
and continue on with doing things as I can.
Mm. So have you thought about doing like workshops for people? Mm,
Not at
taking
all.
no, because you could take them out on a foraging
Yeah.
and
Now,
yes, there's
I
endless
would,
possibilities, isn't there? You know, the more you're
there
talking,
really are. There really are. I would love to have foraging workshops, sure, but making it would be, I mean, it's my love and my passion. And if somebody didn't understand it right away, I'm afraid I would get frustrated and say, well, why not? You know? But
mm,
I loved going out and looking for the mushrooms. And I'm part of a hiking group that I've hosted events with, where we go out and hike, and I'll talk about mushrooms, not necessarily that that's a feature, but we'll all go together, and I inevitably show them all mushrooms, and they're like, this woman's crazy. She's got us out here looking at mushrooms, and we're just trying to hike.
mm, mm.
And those are some that are featured in this crown as well on the back side. And that's a wood ear mushroom right there.
Wow. So that being grown up in the yard and finding mushrooms has opened up. It's obviously your destiny to be working with mushrooms, and
Yeah.
because I know I was sharing with you earlier, like Friday I went to called the Blue Pool, and I saw my very first magic mushroom, and I said to my friend, I haven't seen one of these these spotted ones yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw one on the side and I took a picture. But yesterday in the New Forest, we stopped by this river, and it was getting it was like, because now the clock's changed, it was getting quite, well, darkish.
Yeah.
And I spotted this one magic mushroom stood all on its own, and it was like, oh my God. So of course there we are taking pictures. And the funny thing is, like I said to you, because it's also working with the elementals, the fairies and divas and all that. And somebody said to me, why didn't you pick it? Well, I didn't think about it, but I know if somebody had picked it before, I wouldn't have seen that and been able to capture its beauty. So obviously we left it there, we took photos, so somebody else to go along and see exactly the same. So obviously if there was a group, there's plenty of them, you could take one. But I mean, I always ask permission when I'm taking me bits and pieces anyway. So
Yeah.
so do you find your work?
Is this the one you're looking for?
Yeah. But it was like everywhere. It's just, you could see this red stood out, and I thought, oh my gosh, just amazing. And this, like before, like I said to you, I've never ever taken pictures of mushrooms, and now I don't know how many mushroom pictures I've acquired.
Well, it's just like I told you. I sent y'all some like 60 or so pictures, and I was like, this is as small as I could get the list, because I've got hundreds in my phone. You just pick out which ones you like, and that's fine. We'll talk about which ones you think are the most dazzling, because I've got so many, and it's like picking a favorite star in the sky. You
Yeah,
can't. You
but
really can't.
I think these are mine, aren't they? But the different shapes and colors, and they're just popping up everywhere, and I just love it. But I've never been in a farm environment before, so it's opened up doorways for me that I, with the animals and what have you, that I've never.
Absolutely.
And this one fell upside down. Well, one of the animals knocked it over, and I thought, wow, so pretty underneath as well. That just nature is amazing.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things that I've learned about myself in this journey is to stop and take a look around and find something beautiful everywhere you go.
Yeah.
It's not anything we can influence. Of course, you can transplant spores anywhere you want to, but it's something that comes from below the surface, which is what I think has been the largest influence in this artwork and in what I do in the self-exploration in this. Because we really, nowadays, I mean, of course, I can't show you my phone. I'm using it right now, but we're stuck on the cell phones. We're stuck on our computers. We're stuck taking care of all these responsibilities, work, 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 and then sleep so you can come back and work, work, work. But if you take that time on the weekend or whenever you're off on a lunch break and you go outside and you just look at the ground, if you look close enough, you're going to find a world of small little fungi and the lichen and the moss, and you're going to find maybe a little acorn that might have fallen off, which is some of my favorite. I love acorns. They're in my crown as well. But you're going to find these things that if you hadn't stopped to take a look and set down the phone and gone outside, you wouldn't see. And it gives a great new appreciation to everything that has to do with the outdoors and connecting with nature and with our higher power.
Yeah.
If you have one.
Yeah, definitely. Because I know yesterday when we our first stop through the New Forest and the horses were on the road there. So Kim pulled in and I got out and literally, like we're in the middle of forest and just sort of straight across I went, oh my God, look, there was two little toadstools stood up all on their own. Now of all the places to stop, it was so funny that we literally stopped and there wasn't any others around where we were, and it was like just to me, I thought, here we go. The mushrooms are a calling.
They are to everybody. That's
how
that's my
tiny
hand.
they are. Yeah,
yes,
wow.
That is my daughter's hand, and she's just now 10 years old, so she was probably 8 years old or not, right at 9 when I took that photo. So her hands are very small, and she just boop, she likes to boop the mushrooms. But part of this has been teaching her about the world around her and the beauty that we can find just in everyday things. And just like you said, they just pop up anywhere.
Yeah.
Of course, there are some places that are more likely than others, but you can find these things anywhere you go. Even on, walking from the parking lot to the inside of a building, you can look on your way and really discover a world within a world.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because I don't think I shared the picture yesterday, but there was one we saw. It was all creamy white, and it wasn't like mushrooms. It was like some sort of fungi. I don't think I shared it, and I thought, oh, I must ask you about that. But I think my friend said they were eating ones. It was some sort of can't remember what she said now. Anyway. I should have put the picture up, but that's pretty. Look like little some shades.
Yeah. Little parasols. Stunning.
Amazing.
I think that's one that you took the other day, wasn't it, Andrena?
I'm not sure if is that one of mine. I'm not sure.
I've taken so many, I can't remember.
Yeah, no, didn't think it was, but I have taken rather a lot. But so excuse me. But they're so pretty.
Yeah. It's really inspiring to take a look and look at all the.
I'm sorry. Is that one there? It was like little cones on it, or.
Yes, that is called Old Man of the Woods. That's the common name. Now, the scientific name, I don't know. You'd have to look on Google for it. But
no, I like the one that you've given it. Or
Old Man of the Woods. And I think it gets its name from how it looks like an old grizzly beard sticking up off of the cap of it.
Oh, it looks like a little tree to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that would be worth taking and preserving, like do a little nature forest or something with the tiny mushrooms.
Now that is an edible species. It's not a choice mushroom, but it is edible and has lots of benefits nutritionally that gives it good value. But I just thought it was beautiful, and I wanted because it was a very public area, I didn't want to take it, and especially before I knew what it was, I wasn't going to say, oh well, this is mine now. I'm just going to leave that there and let the other children view it.
It's pretty cute.
Beautiful. Absolutely stunning. And I mean the different colors, I'm sort of seeing the bronzy or orangey red ones popping up now, and
Mhm.
you can't not miss them. Like, you know, once you've opened your eyes to this, it's
Mhm.
just like they're calling, hello, I'm here, hello.
Yeah, everywhere you look. And that was my first time finding chanterelle mushrooms, which I could positively identify on the spot because of the way that they're built, the folds underneath the caps, and I could say for certain, 100%, that that was chanterelle mushrooms. So I felt confident enough with that. I didn't have a bag or anything. I was just taking the dogs out on a quick hike. So I picked up my shirt and just shoved them down into it. I said, well, here we go. Going back to the car, I guess.
Hey, listening to your inflections in your voice, sometimes I feel I'm listening to Dolly Parton, eh?
Well, she is from Tennessee, and I don't live far from Tennessee.
Yeah, no, it's a lovely
Yeah,
accent.
thank you. See, I think that about y'all because I don't hear y'all every day. So I'm like, just keep talking to me. And y'all are like, you sound like Dolly Parton. I'm like, y'all could tell me that all day because I love Dolly Parton.
Yeah. Oh, so so moving on from, so obviously you're using the glue gun to, so what are you using as your base frame? Is it like the antler bit that you sticking them, you know, like the round bit in the middle that you're sticking them onto and building it up?
Absolutely. I'll take this off real quick if I don't rip out all my hair in my head. This was the prototype, so it's not made quite as good as the ones that I did afterwards. It was my experiment phase, but you'll see underneath
Right.
we've got the band.
Oh, sorry.
So really, when this comes, and here's the back of it. When this comes in, or that's the front, this is the back. When this comes in, all it is these antlers and this band. And then all this is the extra spice that I add on to myself. But I'll hold up so that y'all can see the front. And we've got mushrooms over here, pine cones, acorns, other mushrooms down here, and then over here, of course. And the greenery is all synthetic because, well, if I were to dry the greenery, then that's going to be immensely brittle. I can't say that I won't do it in the future, but for right now, we'll stick with the synthetic. But then the back as well features mushrooms. I make the back and the front, equally as beautiful because you're going to see the front and the back. And then also along the side here, when I was making this, my daughter was getting her hair cut. So I took a locket of her hair and put it into this one, or a waft. Right here, you can see it was purpley pink at the time. Now it's just blonde, but so this one won't be for sale because it has my daughter in it.
Yeah.
But this was the experiment phase, and this is what started it all. Well, mushrooms started it all with my sister back in, our childhood home, but then coming down the years, it grew into this.
Hey, Andrena, I could see a market for that in Glastonbury for the Goddess Festival.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
How many? 100%. 400 females turn up, don't they? All over the world.
Yeah, from all around the world.
Wow.
in July, every July. I'll send you some info. Might be something that you I'm going down there next weekend anyway, visiting Glastonbury. So but yeah, I'll send you some info. But they would love, because the goddess movement is huge in Glastonbury.
Yeah.
Massive, and things like that would be a great outlet. So it might be something worth thinking about.
Yeah. My boyfriend told me, like, he said, well, what character are you for this convention? And I said, sort of wild woman of the woods. I don't know. And he said, you look like Mother Nature. And I said, I'll take it. That's what I'll be then. I'm Mother Nature.
Yeah.
Oh, and I forgot to feature this. This is also a piece that I made. I guess I'll tilt this down. This has feathers in the center, which was just something that I picked up from my mom. But then all around the back, it's outlined with mushrooms. And of course, I've got my ferns here sticking out as well.
And it goes with what you're wearing, the color-wise.
Yeah.
And people are, looking for different ideas for creativity and going places and, looking for something different. And you certainly tuned into something there, eh?
Well, thank you.
It'd be nice that you could give up your day job and that be your full-time job, eh?
Yeah, that's what some people have suggested is like, well, this could be really, really big. And I'm like, yeah, I guess it could, but I do work a full-time job. And, I guess, I mean, we'll see what the future holds. That would be kind of a dream come true. And
Mm,
also really stressful though, because of course with us, we don't have universal health care or anything like that. So I have to pay for insurance. And so
right.
that's what a lot of what my job does right now is pay for insurance.
Yeah, yeah.
I have to keep those benefits.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. Hmm. Right. So,
Let's just keep on with these photos, eh?
yeah. Oh, yeah, because they're stunning. I mean, obviously,
Thank
like
you.
and my friend showed me a mushroom book probably a couple of months ago, and I totally just ignored it. Really, I said, "Oh, I'm not really into mushrooms. Didn't really want to have a look." I thought, "Hello." Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what it's like? It's like you buy a car that you've never thought you're going to buy, and all of a sudden you just start seeing the same bloody car, don't
yeah,
you? Yeah?
yeah.
Everything
Yeah.
else is oblivious, isn't it?
Mm,
That's exactly it. And it's like the last hike that I went on was a short hike because I ended up finding mushrooms and then had to get home quickly so I could preserve them and start working on more art. But it's funny. I went in and I was distracted with thoughts and I had talked to Andrena earlier that day and I was so excited about that and I was just like, hurry, hurry, hurry. I got to get to where I'm going. And then whenever I finally stumbled upon some mushrooms, I said, oh my goodness, here they all are. And then
mm.
while I was in the woods, I talked to you, Andrena, and I got so overwhelmed with gratitude about things. I had a little bit of a cry in the woods. I'm not, ashamed to admit that's part of the drying process there.
Oh
Um,
wow, that's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a process, but
So
I got a little overwhelmed.
was that doing it in the oven on a very slow for hours, or have you got
Yeah,
mm.
some
I'm
people dry them in the sun. Some people use lamps. Some people use dehumidifier, not dehumidifiers, but a dehydrator.
yeah.
But just a really low setting in the oven for hours, and then you're good to go.
Mm. Yeah,
But
really pretty.
the
But
other day, after I talked to you, and then I'll finish up on that. On the way out, I was recentered, and then I noticed all these mushrooms that I had passed and didn't take the time to notice because I was in such a hurry to get to my goal that I didn't see them there. So it's really a good lesson to learn in the day to day.
mm. What did Carol put up earlier? She put about um, Katie's a mushroom magician. She finds them everywhere and turns them into ornaments to decorate her hair.
Thank you so much, Carol.
That's my sister in not far away down the road. And maybe the mushrooms wait for her and send out a secret sign that only Katie can really hear, that lets her seek and find. My
That might be it.
my sister has a way with words. So I'll
Yeah.
get them to send you afterwards. But yeah, you certainly, I mean, like I said, I've not looked into mushrooms or any way, shape, or form, and now, like you say, they're popping up
Yeah.
everywhere, and your
Everywhere.
decorations are really lovely. And I mean,
Thank you.
I can, in my mind's eye, I can see sort of like little villages, like like the little tiny ones, as little trees. So, have you thought about doing anything like that, or are you more for the creative, or is that further down the track?
I have made one piece for my father that was a shadow box. It featured mushrooms that that I had foraged while we were together on a hike. Um, I have thought about doing sort of landscapes that way, but that's all in my journal of dreams that I'm holding on to for down the line, so I don't get myself overwhelmed. I think I might be overwhelmed with I ordered from the supplier some mushrooms and or not mushrooms, but antlers. And so the first set it got delayed, so I ordered more, and then I ordered a third pair rather to be coming in. So I have six on the way right now, so I will be very, very busy, and my fingers will be very, very sore.
Oh, yeah. So there's like in that last picture, there's quite a few layers of mushrooms to make one of those, isn't there? There's quite a
Yeah.
few pieces. How many sort of pieces in there? About 20, something like that.
Oh gosh. It can range anywhere. My centerpieces can range anywhere from just a few pieces to dozens. Like that
Mm.
piece was the only piece that was together was that center little swirl. And then the rest of them were individual mushrooms that were pieced together to create a
And you
sort
had
of
to
rose
piece them
pattern.
together one by one.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely a
Yeah.
work of art. But I mean, that
Thank
would
you.
make a lovely centerpiece at Christmas, wouldn't it? With,
Mhm.
yeah, gosh.
Hey, how do you price it? I mean, I wouldn't know. How do you go about pricing something that
Well,
labor
that is
intensive with
something,
love? Yeah.
yeah. And this first set of antlers took probably 8 to 10 hours to make. Um, it's a long drawn out process because certain things have to dry, and trying to seal up the colors in the antlers. I have to use certain sprays, and it takes quite a while to get it all laid out. And then of course you take into account the artistic aspect, and then the
Mhm.
supplies, and what is my real value. That's the first barrette that I made, and the second. But I've had to sort of spitball it with my sister, and she's like, well, at first she said, okay, so you price it at this amount. I was like, okay, and that'll be a little bit of basically breaking even, and that's okay for the first piece. But then as I've gone along, I've added and added and added because my skill level is going up, and my
Mm.
confidence is going up, and the demand is enormous. So I'm sort of just going with it. And as long as people are willing to buy after a certain amount of time, I think then the pricing would be okay.
The little acorns, they look stunning. Because I know,
Thank
like,
you.
I was in the New Forest last week. I keep getting drawn there, and all the horses were like with the trees. They were crunching away on all, on all the nuts.
Yes.
It was lovely to see. Like, so yeah.
There's a funny little story behind the acorns. Of course, they're adorable as just on their own, but the acorns came about with my boyfriend Kevin. He is bald. Just to put it lightly, he's bald.
Right.
The hair grows around the side, and if it grows out at all, it looks like an acorn around, the acorn cap at the bottom, and then the top is just dome. So he's my acorn man.
You're a squirrel.
Yeah, that's it. He calls me a frog because whenever I'm out in the woods, I'll squat down, and he says I look
Oh,
like a little frog out there in the woods. I'm like, hey, I'll take it.
uh, yeah. It's amazing what you find in the woods. Hey, like I
Yeah.
showed you this piece. This is on the farm, like where they obviously things have been cut down, but I put a varnish on this one, but it was just like a
Yeah, that's
fan,
beautiful.
and I'm like, hang on, where we go, and I just
There you
love
go.
it. So it's and I got another piece that I picked up in the New Forest. Sort of is, I don't know. Anyway, it's a bit damp, so I picked it up ages ago, and I've had it outside, and I thought, oh, I think I'm going to let it dry off and varnish it because it's so pretty. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I say, being a forest, I'm in with all my tribe, whether they be mushrooms, acorns, or nuts, or whatever.
Yeah. We can find family everywhere we go. I usually find, even if I'm by myself, I'll find a little buddy here and there. Like I'll find little frogs everywhere I go. The last two hikes, I found little bitty tree frogs. One was perched on a mushroom, and I was walking around, and I knew there were some mushrooms on the other side of that tree because I'd seen them before. So I went to go look and see if more had popped up, and they had. They weren't art quality, but I still wanted to see them, and I was, just kind of touched the edge of them to make my little connection with
Yeah.
the little mycelium network that's going all throughout the trees. But then I went to touch the one on the bottom, and there was a frog there. I was like, oh, pardon me. I didn't know you were there.
I just love that accent.
Thanks.
Oh, right. So, with what you're putting together, so when you're doing it, are you getting different ideas flowing in all the time? I could do it this way and I could do it that way. And is it sort of non-stop now?
Constant. Yes,
Mm.
it is constant. I started out with large pieces, like this centerpiece up here. Most of that is just one mushroom or one structure of mushroom, and I put some additional on the outside, but largely that was all one piece. And then it switched over to then this newest one that I finished yesterday, which is that was the picture that Jeff had up a minute ago, but this one's just the chemicals have been added to it to make it durable. This is about, I would say, probably 75 to 100 different mushrooms or
Really?
petals of mushrooms that have been put together
Mm.
to create that rose effect. Yeah, that was prior to the preservation.
Yes, that's beautiful.
Thank
So, have you had any stories wanting to come through? Like when you're working with them, obviously everything's got like a little story to tell, haven't they? Have you had any
Yeah,
inspiration?
I have. I think in trying to write things, I'm afraid to sound corny, but I have thought about different characters coming from the mushrooms and like the little flower buds that I'll dry and find in the bushes and trees and shrubs all around my house and in the in the surrounding area. I have thought about different stories that are connected to these things because they've
Mm.
all got their own little personality.
Yeah, yeah.
And like the little bald acorn man, I don't know if you've seen, there's an artist that makes little figurines out of his acorns, and they're little people doing things like mowing the yard at a little stick lawnmower. But I've I see an individual in each little mushroom, and together they make a small community, which
Yeah.
is a lot like the mycelium network. That's how plants and mushrooms communicate together. The
Mm.
plants utilize the mycelium to communicate with the surrounding area.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, that's their little Wi-Fi network, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah. You mentioned that the other day. It is like a better Wi-Fi connection.
Definitely.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't operate on 5G. I think it must be operating on a 500G, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Instantaneous,
The
isn't it?
universe, the whole
Mm.
universe.
Mm. Mm.
Hey, obviously doing all the foraging and the stuff for so I might just go this way. With all the foraging you've done, have you sort of come to a spot where different terrain brings out a different mushroom? Now, when I say a different terrain, you might be coming down into lowlands there where there's a river running past, and so you're going through pastures. You might see a different type of mushroom there. But then if you start hiking, as you mentioned, and you're going up into the hills, do you get much snow where you are? Snow?
No.
You got any? No. Okay. So anyway, so as we go through the different terrain, you obviously in rocky terrain and so forth, you're seeing a different type of mushroom, and you then have you come to a conclusion at this moment in time that you found a style of mushroom that you could actually take the spores and then bring them home and then propagate them at home, and knowing that you've got some stock? Is that the best way to say?
I have tried that before. It hasn't been successful yet, and it was a very mild attempt at trying to spread puffball mushrooms in my yard. So I was on a walk just in my neighborhood, and I found a puffball mushroom that had matured, and after they mature, um, they sort of turn leathery and brown, whereas originally they're this vibrant, bright white, almost a styrofoam white mushroom. And then whenever they get matured to leave spores, they'll turn into a little like a brownish leathery ball. And then inevitably something will step on it and it'll bust open a little bit, and whenever you step, it smokes. It looks like little smokes coming out of it, but it's all those millions of and billions of little spores that come out. So I saw that and I picked it up and I said, okay, this is mine. Luckily, nobody lived in the house at the time. So I was like, this is my little treasure. I'm going to take it to my yard. So I took it to my yard. I didn't know that they grew, or which trees they grew in, so I just took it to trees, and then just sort of fairy dusted my way around these tree bases, which now I know that they don't grow on that or around that type of tree. But that was my first and only attempt at transplanting since I was a child with my sister and spoons.
I know you mentioned the shadow box. Can you tell us what a shadow box is?
A shadow box really is going to be a sort of frame that has a lip around the edge that's about 2 or so inches thick. And then you can put stuff into it. Like some people will take, mementos from the birth of a child or a wedding, and they'll stack these sort of like maybe an ultrasound picture, and then you'll have your hospital tag, and then maybe a baby booty, or a bow that the baby wore, or baby's first Bible, stuff like that, or what, different cards and things, just sort of like a way to keep mementos. And that's what I did with him, to sort of give a memento, because he loves hiking and he loves photography, and I've got him into the mushroom photography now. But it was sort of a forager scrapbook. That's what I'll call it.
Right. Okay. Fabulous. Oh wow. Just trying to think of all the yeah, so are you aware of seeing any orbs or the aura or fairies or elemental when you're out foraging in the woods, or seeing tree spirits and things like that?
I haven't. Now I do in nature. It's sort of my way to connect with a higher power, which I call God, and others may call it something else. In that way, and just like the other day when I talked to you on the phone, I was out in nature, and I'd just taken a sit down to sit by a stream, and you had messaged me the clip or the flyer, and I became so overwhelmed with gratitude to my higher power, which I call God, that I started to cry. And that to me is a connection with that life force for me, and that's how I experience. Now, have I seen anything supernatural? I don't know. I definitely, think that these things happen, but in my connection, that's what I feel. And when the leaves get blown and the wind comes through the forest and it sounds like whispers, it touches me on a different level.
Yeah.
Right to the core.
Yeah, I totally hear you and understand. I'm the same, because it's just the magic of being connected with all, with everything, and just opening up new awareness with different things. So, but yeah, no, it's been. I don't know if you've got anything else you want to share. Like we're coming towards the end, but there's no cut-off time as such. But is there anything else you'd like to share about, picking mushrooms, or any extra different places that you've been where you've
Well, one thing I did want to touch on that I didn't get to right now goes more towards the foraging aspect of cultivating for consumption. I cannot stress this enough. Be careful. Don't pick it and just eat it thinking it's a delicious treat, because it can kill you. It really can. There are different modes of identification. One is going to be, or my favorite source is going to be the apps, where you can take pictures of the top and the bottom and the stalk, and then you pull it up through the app. But typically in foraging handbooks, you're gonna see them say, don't use just one source of information. You're gonna want to take your spore prints, which is very easy. All you have to do is put the mushrooms on top of something, and then maybe spritz a little water, keep them in a cool, dry place, and it'll release those spores onto the paper, and you can take a spore print that way. And people make artwork that way as well. Then they preserve that paper, and then you've got these beautiful patterns, like the same pattern of the gills or the pores, the polypores from the bottom, that will leave little dots or stripes along the paper, and you can make art that way, or you can identify mushrooms that way. And another is going to be researching through the internet, just using Google. Take for instance the ones you sent me. if I were going to try to identify those, I would type in a full description on Google and see what I could find, and then research that way as well.
And how many sort of species are there of mushrooms? Thousands?
Yeah. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they talked about how many they thought there were versus, back a few years ago versus now. And it's almost, I mean, to someone like me, it seems infinite whenever I'm finding, the types that I do, and then I think about how many there really are. I mean, you and I could be walking around in our neighborhoods and discovering a new type of mushroom that we don't even know, that nobody knows of yet.
Yeah. Fascinating.
Hey, when it comes to looking for these mushrooms, I think I heard you say you have to wait for it to rain, and when it rains, then the sun comes out and it's good growing conditions. Is that sort of seasonal based? Is that for your spring, is it? Or just going from, what would you call it, autumn, fall, or whatever, going into your winter, and then from winter into your spring? So is there 2 seasons that you're getting, are you? From summer to fall, and then from winter to spring? Is that your 2 seasons?
Mm-hmm. That is correct. And any time that we're going to have more rain, of course, spring and fall are the rainy seasons for us. Of course, the rain comes up from the Gulf, from the hurricanes, and then we get that, and that brings me lots of little, magical things to find in the forest. You can always go out and find mushrooms, but you're going to get the better quality when it's a day or two after a rain. And I have read that it's best when it's the first sunny day after a rain, but I can't always wait that long because I'm anxious. So I have actually gone out. We had about 4 days of rain, not maybe a month and a half ago. And so on the last day, I decided it was time. So I went out in the break of a storm and wound up getting rained on most of the time, but I wasn't upset because I did find some really beautiful specimens of mushrooms.
Oh, well, it's been absolutely a delight having you on the show. It's just been amazing. You've opened up more about mushrooms and what you can do with them, and picking them. And so I know for me, and like, we've just had a lot of rain, so I'll be looking for the sun, and I'll probably go out be looking taking more pictures. I don't think I'm going to worry about drying anything at the moment. I've got different things I'm working with, but it's been absolutely fascinating. So I know it's the early hours of the morning for you, so I really thank you for taking the time out to talk with us.
Well, I appreciate you for having me on. It's been a really great experience. I was very, very nervous, but I think we had a good show today.
Definitely. Well, thank you very much.
So it's coming up for 6 o'clock in the morning for you, isn't it, Katie?
Yes. In 2 minutes.
There you go.
Spot on.
That was my daughter's alarm to get up for school.
Spot on there, eh?
Yeah.
Here.
She's an early person, so she likes to get up early, sometimes at 5, sometimes at 6, and she'll, watch her anime stuff, which is behind me here in her glorious room, and she likes to play her video games and things, so I let her get up a little earlier. Oh, they mentioned gold top magic mushrooms. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Andrew.
Okay, well, thank you very much, and wishing you well with all the different things that you're creating.
Thank you. And I guess I will take my leave now.
There you go. Nothing else.
Have a great day. Much, much love from Georgia.
Hey, I'll get this one here. There you go. All right. Thank you. Thanks for one and all. It's very interesting, isn't it? I mean, it's just sitting here listening, while getting all the photos and bringing them up, and
Mm.
The amount of guests that we get from different parts of the world is quite interesting. There's a guy who came in and put a like. His name's Doug Miller, and he goes out to Central West Queensland, and he helps with the archaeologists with the big dinosaurs that are out there. Yeah. And I
Oh,
thought, I
wow.
haven't seen Doug for some time. And I thought, oh, I should ring him up. And I said, hey, Doug, talk us about these bloody dinosaurs that Australia's got.
Or dragons.
Dragons. Yeah. That's right. All right. So thank you for finding Katie. That was quite a...
Well, I had to call him from the mushrooms.
Yeah, but you don't realise just how many species of mushrooms there are, isn't it? You know?
No, I thought when she said you take a picture and you put it on the internet, I'm thinking, well, they're brown, they're round, some might have a curvy, and how do you describe, these different mushrooms? Because they all look, like what I've taken. Well, they don't all look the same, but I was thinking, gosh, it must be a work of art. Yes, we're still live. Jeffrey's just having a chit chat, I think, aren't you?
Yeah, I just thought I'd do something different because normally just the show just ends like that, and you're thinking, well, Katie took the time to get up at 4:30 in the morning her time, and you got to recognise that. It's really fantastic. Yeah, all right. Well, probably something new we might do. Just say thank you very much.
You better go when you go in the Springwood Forest. Have a look for the mushrooms.
Here we go.
Yeah, dinosaurs or dragons. Yes, I already mentioned that.
All right. Love you.
Thank you, everybody. Till same time next week.
Okay.